Okay, teachers, in this video tutorial, I'd like to show you how to set up the various grade setup configuration, the options that you have for each of the courses that you set up. So I've just logged in as John Doe. John Doe is in the system as the instructor for Test Course 1. We are in the Testmester Period 1, so this is the course that I want to pull up. So I'm going to go to Grades for Test Course 1, Period 1. And you can see Sally student and Studio student are enrolled in the course, and you can see their gradebook. Now, to set up the options for your gradebook, we're going to go here to Setup Configuration. So Setup Configuration in the Grades tab. And now you have a variety of options to choose from here. So I want to show you what those options are and walk through those in configuration. First, you have score rounding. Will you round scores up, down, or just leave them the same? For example, if a student was to score an 89.9%, would you want to round that up to 90% or keep it at 89.9? This would allow you to either round up to 90, down to 89, just normal rounding, or no rounding at all. I think I would prefer to just leave that at normal, actually at none, and that way you have the option to round later if it becomes a need. So I would recommend keeping it on none. For assignment sorting, this is how assignments appear when you pull up the Assignments tab. Would you rather have the newest assignments first, have them sorted by due date, by the date they were assigned, or whether they were graded or ungraded? I think this is totally up to you how you want to see them, and you can try out some different options here, but I think I would prefer the ungraded, meaning that the ungraded assignments will always be at the top of the list when you open the assignment book. Now, a few other options to weight grades, that is checked. What that means is when you check weight grades, this allows you to weight homework and quizzes and tests. For example, you may want homework to be 20% of the grade, tests to be 50% of the grade, and quizzes to be 30% of the grade. Well, weighting grades, by having this checked, that will allow you to assign a weight to each assignment type. Okay? Secondly, assigned date defaults to today. So when you create a new assignment, the assigned date will default to the current day. That would be pretty handy. I think that would typically be checked. Due date defaults to today. That's pretty unlikely that you're going to assign something and have it due on the same day, so I'd leave that unchecked. And finally, calculate eligibility using cumulative semester grades. We are not using the eligibility portion of the system yet, so I would just leave that unchecked. We may use that at a future date. This percent allowed, maximum percent, and anomalous grades. Typically that'll default to 100%, and that's where you'd want to leave it. Basically, the system will just flag you if there's a score in the system that is over 100%. If you were to accidentally give 12 points on a quiz that only had a maximum number of 10 points, this could be a way to show extra credit, but it could also be a mistake. So by having this at 100%, that score would show in red lettering in your assignment book, in your grade book, which would just highlight that score as unusual. This next section, days until ungraded assignment appears in parent-student gradebook views. Notice this is days until ungraded assignment grade. So how many days do you want an assignment to be in the assignment book before it shows in the parent grade book? This is totally at your discretion. It'll default to 0, but if you want a delay for assignments to appear in the gradebook area, you could do that. And finally, default comment code, just leave that at NA. That is not a function we're using currently. Now you will see here score breakoff points. You may not see, in fact, you typically will not see this in your setup. The only time you'll see a score breakoff points section is if you have asked the administrator to turn on the teacher-driven grade scale. Normally, we will be using the main grade scale across the entire school, but if for some reason you want to make an adjustment to that, perhaps put a curve on your final results, This would allow you to set the breakoff points for each of these grades. So you might decide that an A plus is a 95 and up instead of a 97 and up as the main grade scale is. You might decide that anything over a 90 is an A, and you may allow an 87 to 90 to be an A minus, in which case you would type each of those into these blocks to identify the breakoffs. Now you could leave not graded or incomplete blank as well. You could have a 55% cutoff for an F, for example. Again, this functionality can be turned on for you, but you must request it from a system administrator. Finally, you have a section here, final grading percentages. This applies to courses particularly that are scheduled to last a full year. So perhaps you're teaching a literature class that's going to run 3 trimesters, and you want to be able to assign not only a first, second, and third trimester grade, but then have the system create, for your approval, a final yearly grade. To do that, you would simply identify for each period how much weighting you would give that period. For example, I've entered, and this would be typical, I would think, 33, 33, and 34%. Just to avoid the fractions, any potential issues that could be caused. If you just want to break the 3 trimesters up, go 33, 33, and 34%, and that'll of course add up to 100%. So the question is, why is this red text here warning you that it's not totaling 100%? Well, that is only because of the unusual situation we have where we have a couple courses offered on semesters. So we've created these semester counts as well as some test semesters in here that don't apply. So as long as we have more terms than you have, this is basically just warning you that you did not assign any weight to first semester, second semester, or the test semesters. And of course that's what you intended. So when you have all the options in there that you want, you click Save, and you now have your final options for the test course or whichever course you had selected.